Welcome back. This Sunday, Bangkok's going to have a lot of bicycles, 330 bicycles and 50 stations very soon, but starting off with two, one at Chamchuri Square and one at the Siam BTS station. The BMA is introducing cycling.
It's a bicycle rental scheme.
Bicycle rental. Okay. You have to be a member and then you rent a bicycle. You can drop your bicycle off in any station. Yep. They're trying to encourage people to use bicycles to relieve congestion in the city center.
I think this is a scheme based on what they did in Paris, the Velib scheme, where you can pick up a bicycle anywhere, ride it for a minimal charge, and then you can plug it back into another station. It's also similar to the scheme that they've had in London, I think, for the last 3 years, Boris Bikes, which are sponsored by Barclays Bank, I think, which is really, really successful, and it's really good. So this is it's a step in the right direction. It's not going to be perfect to start with, obviously.
It's going to take a long time.
It's going to take we've got to start somewhere.
It's going to take a while, but it's a step in the right direction. I mean, cycling is really popular now in Bangkok, and you know, we need to start doing this kind of thing to make us more modern, to help with the congestion, and to start changing people's attitudes towards transport.
You cycle around sometimes.
I do. I mean, admittedly enough, I live in inner Bangkok, in Sathorn, and I cycle occasionally to the Uchuling building and in that area. So I do cycle.
Do you find it safe to cycle in this?
I have lights on the front, on the back. I have lights on my wheels. I always wear a helmet. I wear gloves.
What about in London? Do they wear helmets and gloves?
No.
On
Compulsory.
Some people do, though, don't they? It's the
people
individual.
do, but it's not. It's not compulsory. It's not law.
But in London,
to wear
you've got
helmet.
bicycle lanes, Jay, right? In Paris, you've got bicycle lanes.
There are bicycle lanes in
London,
but
yes.
it's not something that you would say widespread. I
Oh,
think.
it's only in part.
Bicycle lanes, okay, they're important, but I think more important is having more cyclists.
Why so?
Because then motorists get used to seeing cyclists on the road, and then they will interact with them differently. They'll start to respect the cyclists
Instead of having one or two on the road where they ignore.
When they see, if they see, I mean, if you go to London now, you'll be amazed at the number of cyclists. Okay, and more cyclists on the road leads to less cycling deaths, because motorists and motorcyclists, they get used to seeing cyclists. They start to respect them, and they start to understand the behavioural pattern of a cyclist when they're on the road. But also, cycling education is important. I mean, you have to be, you know, when people are cycling, you have to be aware of what you can and can't do.
And what's the rules and regulations instead of jumping the lights and all this sort of thing?
Right, so these bicycles are going to be green in color, so they'll be easily to spot, I guess.
I don't know.
They're talking about green, but
I don't know. I mean, this is the first I've heard of it. I mean, I never knew that. I'm glad that this scheme is coming in, but it's again, I don't think I don't know whether it's been promoted
the details
properly or not.
from what I know, it's
there was a small piece in the Bangkok Post about it. That's
you have to be a member. You have to pay 300 baht.
What do you pay 300 baht for membership?
To be a member,
for
and
what?
then
For a year,
so
or for what?
I think it's a lifetime membership.
Really?
Probably,
Okay.
to give you the right to rent bicycles, and the first 15 minutes of rental is actually free.
Yeah.
And then it's 10 baht for the next 45 minutes.
45 minutes, and 100 baht for one whole day.
Yeah, 20 baht for the next 3 hours, then after that 100 baht for the whole day.
Yeah, the way it works in London, I think, because I signed up for it when I was there a couple of years ago, you sign up for it, you pay like £45 a year, which is 2,500 baht. Okay, and they send you a key, almost like a flash drive, which you plug into where the bicycle is hooked in.
To unlock the bicycle.
To unlock the bicycle, you take it out. So that the system then knows that you've got that bicycle, so you're responsible for that bicycle.
So your own code is on that flash drive.
Yeah, so it's an individual thing.
That's very neat.
Yeah. So if you damage that bike or if you fail to return it, then they will bill you for it, because obviously they have your billing information.
So that's probably why membership is required.
Membership's required, and also if you have the bike for longer than 15 minutes, then they will bill you for that as well.
So they take it off your deposit?
I think the way it works in that scheme that I signed up for, I think it just gets basically, it's like a direct debit thing. So if I keep the bicycle for 30 minutes, then it costs me £1 or something.
Right.
So but let's go back to the situation here. I mean, if they've got Chamchuri Square into Siam,
that's the first.
I mean, that's a really heavily trafficked area.
Henry Dunant.
Very going to be very difficult, I would have thought, to take bikes along there.
I mean, you haven't. I mean, there might be cycle lanes.
I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
I imagine Jamboree Square to Siam Square backwards, and it's a two-way thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's probably going to initially it's going to be for students who are
But it's
studying at
logical,
Chula,
yeah, exactly.
or who are studying at Jamboree,
Or the private institutions, yeah.
So great, it's an easy way to get there. You can get off the SkyTrain.
Yeah,
Mm.
and then
Yeah,
take a ride
you
a
can
bicycle.
take a
to
bicycle
Jamboree
10
and
minutes up
walk
the
to
road
school,
into Chulalongkorn, through Chulalongkorn. You don't have to be on the road.
In reality, I think the concept's great. We're following what others have done. It's nothing new
Oh,
to
it's
the
a
world.
fantastic concept.
It's going in the
It's-
right
I mean,
direction.
Schemes like this.
It's a great concept, Jay, but
Schemes like-
you mentioned about London.
Yeah.
People are cycling because it's expensive to drive into the city centre.
Yeah,
It's
in London they have
expensive to park in
they
the
have what
city
they call
centre.
congestion charge. So to enter Greater London now, or inner London, I think you have to pay £8.
£8, yeah.
That's a lot of money.
For a day, or between certain hours of the day. But also in central London, parking is very difficult. It's also very expensive.
Right. Parking is very difficult in Bangkok City, but
Sure.
it's very cheap. And you can double park.
Okay.
And they even have special lots reserved for car-free days.
They do indeed.
Yeah, which is
Okay.
very
Which
weird.
is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Well, I mean, look, this plus improved mass transit, wider reaching mass transit, more trains
Yep,
on the
exactly.
BTS, okay, longer carriages, whatever, more capacity, plus stuff like this. Okay, it's not going to be perfect when it starts. Okay, it's not going to have a huge uptake, but hopefully they'll stick with it. They'll invest in it, and if they can do up to 50 stations around central Bangkok or anywhere, so that
Be
people
great.
can say, okay, I'm not going to jump on the bus. I'm not even going to use the BTS. I'm not going to get in a taxi. I might even leave the car at home for a short journey. I'm going to try the bicycle. Then that's great.
That's
we
the
need
intention,
to start
isn't it?
thinking like
Yeah.
this. And then maybe there will be less cars. Road users will be more considerate towards cyclists. Maybe in the future, this will lead us into a situation where we're limiting the number of cars that enter downtown Bangkok.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on to our last topic.
Right.
General madness. It's not the name of a general. It's not the name of a general. We have 1,600 generals in the military service.
Okay.
Apparently, that's a record. We are number 2 in the world with the most number of generals. The number 1 place, of course, goes to Cambodia, right? So we have 1,000.
This must be on percentage, though, of the number of people in the army, right?
Based on the number of people in the army, right? In proportion to the number of people. We have 400,000 people in the army, and we have 1,600 generals.
Okay.
It's a lot of generals, apparently. Why do we have so many generals?
Because we don't have a minimum retirement age, maybe, for army
Do
personnel.
we not have a minimum retirement
I don't know.
age?
Oh, I think so. I think it's the same as the government service, 60.
Really?
I'm sure.
Okay. So
But
maybe
having said that, I mean, this is all part of the process here in Thailand that, you need to come up the ladder, you need to have the contacts to get up the ladder. And so when you get to a certain level, it's like being in the public service. They want you to go into a position for a period of time because you'll get to grade 10 and get a good retirement, salary out of it. Isn't it the same for the generals in the army?
What I've seen is, all army officers, commissioned officers, all graduate from a army school, right?
Yes.
And then
Sure.
they have class 10, class 11, the year of graduation.
Yeah.
And when there's a promotion, the whole class gets promoted. The whole class gets promoted upwards, right? Apparently, if you serve enough time, like 12 years, you become a major.
Yeah.
Your rank goes up based on the number of years that you actually serve. So what they're saying is people are being promoted to majors so fast that they need to have more generals on the top to balance the majors.
Look, at the end of the day, does it really matter other than what they're doing? If they're doing a job that is important to the management of the military in the areas they're operating, that's fine.
We have seen many generals who are involved in rallies. There's one we just talked
Sure,
about, a general
sure.
who's involved in rally. I don't know.
But he's
a-
retired, actually.
Retired?
Yeah, he's
Okay,
retired.
retired. We have so many active generals, and what do they do? Are they?
Well, they're in the army.
You don't know, what do they do?
Well, they're in the army. That's what they do.
Exactly, and they've
Well,
probably
They're saying
got the,
too many people on the top, not enough foot soldiers to do the work.
Well, we have, 400,000 people in the armed services here, you said?
Yes,
We have 1,200 generals,
1,600, no?
1,600. So, I mean, that's still...
It's still, I think it's okay,
300,
Really?
99,
What's the percentage ratio?
98,000.
But at the end of the day, it's what they're doing. It doesn't matter what you call them, it's what they're doing. If they're sitting in an office, sitting on their backside all day, doing nothing and...
Well, they're being
going
generals.
But they're being generals. Now, what is a general's job?
Well,
I
get
have
people
no
to
idea.
salute them, I don't know.
Yeah. it's
Ride
the
in
armed- it's the
open
armed- it's
jeeps
the armed
with
forces,
stars.
they do.
Get
They're generals.
police
They
escorts.
do general stuff. They do important stuff. They do
Which is, we
ceremonial
don't know.
things. They probably, check people's shoes and shiny,
Right,
and
so
you know,
there's
whatever the general does. They're generals, you
Yeah.
know.
So, you know,
I'm not going to argue with them.
Who's actually brought it up as an issue anyway?
Yeah.
okay, the current defense minister actually has mentioned, raised this as an issue, and there was the report in the press. But apparently this was also raised many years ago by the previous administrations, that there were too many generals. But everyone was so afraid to make any changes.
The issue is that the minimum retirement age is too high, or the system, the sort of the culture of patronage means that, okay, so you've been there for 12 years, you get promoted, your whole class gets promoted. Maybe they need to look at the whole rank structure, the system by which they judge the way someone gets promoted through the ranks. So maybe it's not performance based, then it's just based on time.
Based on time, and based
length of
on
service,
relationships.
relationships, certainly relationships. Yeah.
So
doesn't sound
yeah,
very
who's
civilized.
going to upset this apple cart? I wonder. Yeah.
What are the
Not
implications
me.
for it? Not me.
Yeah.
For me, it's honestly, I believe it's a non-issue, really, because I think that they've got a job to do. They know what their job is. Obviously, there are some that are doing nothing, but that's the same in any military anywhere in the world. You know, I don't think we're any different here. Our numbers might be higher, but what's the problem? I don't see it as a problem. I'd like to know what the Defence Minister thinks is the problem. That's a question we should ask, I think.
Yes.
I have no idea
Adrian,
what.
ask the question.
I haven't
You need to ask the question to the
yeah.
Defence Minister.
So
huh?
why is it a problem?
We'll see if we can get, is that General Utasak to actually
Yeah.
answer that question? Huh?
Okay, so,
Okay.
you know, our producer is signaling to us we are out of time. You can always catch us on Facebook, facebook.com/thetopics, and give us your feedback, opinions, suggestions for the next episode, and even catch up on our previous episodes. So, thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Adrian.
Glad that you are back to good
I'm
health.
back. I'm back for
And
good.
Valerie,
I think.
Okay.
thank you, and we hope
You're
to
welcome.
see you again next week. Goodbye.